Okay, we have a lot to talk about. Let's just say the video I made last night at like 4 p.m. Was meaningless. I was talking about us getting a quarterbacks coach and bring him in, and it was a big name. It was the son of Don Shula. None of it matters because 30 minutes later, when I was at my work Christmas party at the church, I found out that Sharon Moore had been indeed fired for cause. And it wasn't cause for not being a good football coach, which I do think some of you listening to this program and what you've heard me talking about is maybe this guy deserves one more year, but I think we were all kind of like, is it going to be okay? Like, is this year going to be okay, or are we just delaying the inevitable with Sharon Moore as the coach? The team seemed to be, I don't want to say preoccupied, but the team didn't seem to be adequately prepared for games, and maybe that's because Sharon Moore wasn't adequately prepared for games. I am not going to, in this video, go into all the stuff. I'm not going to drag people's names through the mud. I feel absolutely terrible for Sharon Moore's family through all of this. They're the innocent victims that it's just like, oh, my goodness. You know, like just blow apart the family. I don't know. Like, here's what I will say. All right, here's what I will say. I will say what they released, and then we're going to talk about what's next. We're going to talk about how, is this actually a break for Michigan that they get to move on from Sharon Moore? Could the timing be better? Absolutely. It could be so much better. We could have done it back in the beginning. But does the Michigan name carry enough that there might be another coach that could come in and do it? It might cost Michigan a lot more money because everybody signed extensions, buyouts are bigger, all of that kind of stuff. It doesn't mean that they can't go out and get someone different. Would Michigan be willing to spend big money on a buyout? I don't know. Here's what I do know. I don't think it'll be another stopgap coach. So let's check this out. He was fired, according to athletic director, for engaging in an appropriate relationship with a staff member. Michigan has zero tolerance for such behavior and made the firing official following university investigation. Now, a lot of people are like, is Ward Manuel qualified to lead this coaching search? Should it be Ward Manuel? Does he have to answer for things? I don't know what it looks like behind closed doors. Here's what I do know. We had another major sport that just went through a coaching search where we let go of a coach who is a former player in Juwan Howard. His conduct and behavior was not always exemplary, open hand slapping people. And we went out and we got what is already proving to be one of the best coaches in the country in Dusty May. It was a fantastic hire. And for a school that, yes, is a blue blood in football, I would make the argument they are in basketball too. But it is a much easier pitch to become the football coach at the University of Michigan than basketball. With basketball, yes, you go into the smaller ranks and you go get a coach. With football, anything's on the table. So what we know is in the interim, everybody's favorite, I don't care guy, Biff Poggi, is going to take over in the meantime. He'll probably coach us for the bowl game, depending on how quick we get another coach in and when the staff comes over. He will be the one holding things together. Remember, he has head coaching experience at Charlotte. He was running a high school program. Do I think he's the guy long term? No. Are some of you out there Biff Poggi like lovers and enthusiasts? Absolutely you are. And that's okay. All right, but Ward Manuel will lead the coaching search on this. So let's talk about a couple of things here. Let's talk about who some names are. I might even throw in a couple of extra names. I have a favorite that I like, and I'm not hearing this name from other people, which is kind of unique to me. And it's one that I actually really enjoy. But on three, put together a big board of names. We'll start on that. Then after we talk about that, I want to go into what recruits are saying. There's going to be a lot of news and a lot of fallout from this, some good and some bad. The truth is, with the talent on our roster, this likely will set us back for next year. When it comes to overall coaching and the performance on the field, this has the chance with the right hire to actually elevate our performance next year. It does. It really does. All right, so let's look at who the coaching candidates are. Like I said, On3 put this together. The first one is Kellen DeBoer. All right, I don't know if this is possible, but if this is possible, this is the home run, right? This is the no-brainer. He's with Alabama. This is a guy who took a Washington team to a national championship where they lost to who? Yeah, that's right, us. Michigan. He is a phenomenal coach. He is a phenomenal coach, but he's at Alabama where if you go 9-3 and make the playoff, they hate you. At Michigan, if you go 10-2 and you make the playoff, they'll still love you. So, and it's also an easier road, people still say, because of the top-heavy Big Ten. It's an easier road than the SEC. I don't know if I fully agree with that, especially with Michigan's schedule in the upcoming 3 years because we play all the top-heavy teams. I don't know if I agree with that. The next name on this list I'm ignoring. It's Brian Kelly. Get it out of here. That is, what is that? A round peg in a square hole. That's not the term. It's a square peg in a round hole. I don't know. Whatever it is, I don't want Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly is on my short list of coaches that if he is hired, it will be really, really difficult for me to continue to love Michigan football the way I do now. I'll continue to love it because it's Michigan, and especially if they can win there. But there's two coaches out there where if they're hired, I'm like, this is going to be hard. And those two coaches are Brian Kelly, and it would be a name that I'm not even going to talk about, but he used to coach at Ohio. All right? And those would be the two names that I'd just be like, oh, this is absolutely awful. Awful. All right, next name on the coaching list, Lincoln Riley. This one I probably have a different opinion of than most of you. Most of you would say Lincoln Riley was at USC. He hasn't really brought them back to where they need to be. I think Lincoln Riley, I'm under one of the few people, I guess, that think that Lincoln Riley is a really good football coach. I think he would bring a new offensive identity here. I think what he was dealing with at USC was a group of men, a group of young kids that didn't know how to win and hadn't won in quite some time. He wouldn't have that at Michigan. We've won here. And so that is not what's going on. He didn't have that at Oklahoma. He took over a program with an identity as winners. And so from Stoops. So, yeah, I think he's a good coach, and I think he could be fine. This next name is where it starts to get interesting, and this is one of the first names that I thought of, and it's Jesse Minter. Here's the problem, and here's what I've heard on Jesse Minter. Jesse Minter, if you don't remember who he is the defensive coordinator for LA. He was the defensive coordinator for our 2023 national championship team. I thought he was a better defensive coordinator and coach than Mike Macdonald was for us, and Macdonald went on to get a head coaching job and has proven to be a pretty good head coach for the Seattle Seahawks. Here's the problem with Jesse Minter. He has a 1-year show cause penalty for sending. Now, it was not anything to do with the scandal, all right, with all that kind of stuff. All right, it wasn't. It was that he sent text to recruits at times he wasn't supposed to send a couple texts to recruits. So he has a show cause that I believe is 1 year, that if he comes back in that 1 year span, he has to show cause for what he did, and then he has the or the chance of getting suspended from there. Or he waits the full year, doesn't get show cause, and he can come back. That ends in April. So if you need to hire a coach now, so there's a world where you say, Jesse Minter, we all know it's him. You hire him as something else, I guess, and then Biff Poggi continues to run the program but it's nasty, it's messy. That's why I don't think Minter's one of them. All right, next we get into the more realistic candidates as well. Eli Drinkwitz. This is a guy who has been with Missouri for 6 years. I don't know how you go 46-28 with Missouri in the SEC. All right? It was really, really impressive. All right? It was really, really impressive, and he has been good. He was associated with Florida. He was associated with Penn State, but he just announced a contract extension with Missouri, so that would be a bigger buyout. Next name, Jed Fish. You might recognize him. He was here for a year under Harbaugh as well. All right, he has worked for Bill Belichick, Jim Harbaugh, Sean McVay. Like, this is a guy, he is over at Washington. I think he's doing a good job there. Where he's hanging his head is what he did at 3 years at Arizona, where he completely turned that program around. A program that was just absolute, it was in the dumps, and he took it around like that. Really impressive, all right? All right, now 2 more names that once again are very, very possible. All right, Clark Lea, this is the guy who somehow is winning at Vanderbilt. He was the Notre Dame DC. He's 26-35 in his career in Nashville, went 7-6 last year. He's 10-2 this year. All right, Diego Pavia is a baller at quarterback. All right, but he could take that same recipe with more resources, which is use the portal like he did at Vanderbilt. This guy is a good coach. This is a team that walloped Tennessee. This is a team at 10-2 that really probably should be in over Alabama, if I'm being completely honest. Then you have Kenny Dillingham. All right? In 2 years at Arizona State, he took them to the college football championship, won the Big 12 championship. It is his alma mater. Nobody knows if he wants to leave. The problem is, and he said this after he got to the playoffs, he said, this has been a fun year. We win the Big 12. We almost beat Texas. We made it to the college football playoff. He goes, but I don't want to be a one-and-done program. I want to be a program that has sustained success. That's what he said. Can he do that at Arizona State? I don't know. Now, I have another name that I absolutely love as a possibility for this position, and that name is PJ Fleck. And before you hang up, click the end button on this video, or do whatever you want to do, I want you to hear me out on this with PJ Fleck. PJ Fleck was an absolute monster at Western Michigan. I know that means nothing, but when you take Western Michigan to, at the time, remember the big deal was getting to a New Year's Six bowl, right? They would have been the team that would have made the college football playoff from the non-Power 4, the G5, whatever you want to call it, right? Back in the day, they lost to Wisconsin. He then goes to Minnesota, and people would say that he's not great because he never did that much at Minnesota. Okay, he has done more at Minnesota than anybody has ever done at Minnesota. He has put together a consistent winner in Minnesota, a team that consistently goes to bowl games. Consistently. He put together a team that was actually in the running to be a college football playoff team when there was only 4 teams. This is what he did at Minnesota. I think he could do even more at Michigan. He is an elite recruiter. He is a rah-rah guy. He is a player's coach. He is all of those things. I don't know if he's on the short list for U of M, but if the name PJ Fleck was one that was announced as Michigan's next head coach, I'm still trying to decide if, again, we are that square peg in a round hole with PJ Fleck. I am telling you right now, I would not be upset at the attempt to make it happen. I think it could be very, very good. I look at PJ Fleck similar to, hey, he went to Minnesota, comes to Michigan, similar to how I would have viewed James Franklin at Vanderbilt going to Penn State, if I can be honest. You can say he couldn't win the big game. I'm going to make the argument that was more of a Penn State problem, but with all that being said, that's fine. So again, list of names because we're moving forward. Kalen DeBoer, Brian Kelly, Lincoln Riley, Jesse Minter, Eli Drinkwitz, Jed Fish, Clark Lea, Kenny Dillingham, and then I added PJ Fleck. There's other names that are out there that we're not thinking about at this moment. You'll be hearing it all here. Who do you want to be the next head coach at Michigan? Is it weird that I was relieved when Sharon Moore was let go? Is it weird? Because I was. And again, I don't like the circumstances, but I like the fact that he's not here anymore. I don't think he was the guy, and it was just a dead year waiting for it. Another year of us barely beating okay teams, really beating bad teams, and just getting walloped by good teams. I don't want that. I want a team that's better coached. Another name to look at is Matt Rule at Nebraska. He just signed an extension. I understand that. He was verbal about the fact back in the day after he was let go from coaching the Carolina Panthers, he was verbal that he was keeping his eye on the Michigan job. He wanted it. And that was the year before Harbaugh ended up leaving, so it never came open. But he was like, if Harbaugh goes to the NFL, he was like, I want the Michigan job. Kind of cool. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.